Barnick punching and kicking the female.
No,
while she was on. I'm not asking for your opinion. I'm just telling
Okay.
you what the police report says. Someone that you and I both, file number is 241141SM. Charges domestic violence. Mr. Barnick pled to that charge. I set the matter for sentencing today. Hoping to get some more input. I did get the police report and the other investigation report. I looked at some old files. I'd hoped to get some input from Carla Barnick, who's Mr. Barnick's niece, and from a prosecutor, but don't think we're going to have any prosecutor input. And I haven't heard anything from Miss Barnick. So this is the time and date for sentence in this matter. Click into it. The defendant is here in a timely manner with his lawyer, Paul Gibson. Mr. Gibson, what would you like me to know?
The defendant is retired on Social Security, but he does work part-time at the golf course. And it sounds like that's his intentions going forward, is that he will have a part-time job in conjunction with his Social Security income. The defendant is remorseful about this situation. He going forward, he's not quite sure. If the no contact provision is lifted, he's not quite sure what the relationship between he and his niece would be. It sounds like that, they did reside together for quite some time. And so he does say that is something that he possibly would be open to in the future. So I believe that the defendant has the ability to get past this. And I don't believe that he is a dangerous person or a danger to society. And so I'm asking for the court to sentence him accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Barnick, what would you like me to know?
My niece and I have been living together. Now it's been almost 20 years, believe it or not. And there's been some rough time through there as far as that goes. She's in a rough spot. She doesn't have a car. She doesn't have a driver's license. She no job, no income, basically nothing. So I'm trying to, through the years, matter of fact, I had a conversation with her the other day, and she's out at least trying to find another job now. She's got some back problems, on medication and so forth. So Mr. Gibson asked me about what the future might look with us together, possibility, whatever, to continue living together. My comment to him was, already being together for 20 years, that's a lot to throw away, even though there was some tough times there, but there was a lot of good times also.
I thought it was even more than that. Back in 2012, when you ran over with your car, you've been together about 12 years then, so that would be more like 25 years. Who's staying at the North Main address?
She is right now.
All right. And where are you staying?
I'm kind of in between there. With my other niece and her husband. I don't know if you know Nancy and Jim Palmer.
Palmer?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She used to be Nancy Evans.
Yeah, I know her real well.
Okay. That's with them when because they've got their grandkids and stuff, and that's a household in itself over there. So it's kind of back and forth, I guess you might want to say.
Oh, well, you're not supposed to have any contact with her at all, so it sounds like there is contact. And I've said this to you, this feels like deja vu all over again. You can't live with her and you can't live without her. And I've said the same thing to her. She's been charged at least 3 times with domestic violence. At least 2 of them were on you. You've been charged with assaulting her One was a felony, got bound over to circuit court and got remanded. It started with Judge Welty and it came to me. There's an unstated factor in here, which is alcohol. Every one of you guys drink too much, just flat out. You drink and you fight. And this whole weird dynamic that she's your niece, although I realize she was adopted, but it's still a strange dynamic. And I read this and it was like I was reading the same report that I read in 2012. But there are some troubling things in here. And I sent you to anger management back in 2012, which you successfully completed.
I would be willing to take that again if that's.
Well, that's not an option. Perhaps there may be some other option. I'd really hope to hear from her. Now, you've been around long enough, you worked at Continental Can.
Oh, yeah.
Dad worked. Do
Yeah,
you have a
that was right out of
Continental
high
Can
school, yeah.
pension?
Pardon?
Do you have a Continental Can pension?
No.
Do you have an American Axle pension?
No, I was there for about 6 or 7 years and that.
Or you worked long enough to get a pension
Yeah.
there? And you worked at Comcast or somewhere?
I was there for almost 10 years. That was after I left Continental Can before it.
So you don't have any other pension other than
No.
this? Oh, that's too bad.
I'm in the process right now of finding something more than the hours that I'm getting paid for at the golf course also, as far as that.
Which golf course?
It's pretty tough.
Which golf course?
Find me.
Okay. This is all sketchy. And it's like reading the same report over again that I've read several times before. But you're fighting out in the yard on North Main Street. And someone I won't say his last name, Norm, drives by and sees this. Doesn't even know what the heck is going on. And he called and said, there's a man beating a female outside in the yard next to Lutter's Cleaners. So they get there. Well, he says, there was a lady laying in the yard under a lawn chair. And he said, didn't know she was like sunbathing or what happened. So he turned around. She had a bloody nose when the police got there. And she had been drinking.
Your Honor, the lawn chair was what I did. She had previously thrown food at me, throwing a couple drinks at me while I was sitting outside. And what I did to deal with the lawn chair, that's what I did. I took the lawn chair when she was setting it, and I turned it over and put her down on the ground. That's what I did. And
all right. He advised, this is Norm. He advised witness Barnick punching and kicking the female.
No,
I'm not asking for your opinion. I'm just telling you what the police report says. Someone that you and I both know. He witnessed Barnick punching and kicking the female while she was on the ground. He advised the female was trying to get up off the ground and Barnick punched her again. Barnick had some sort of tile or something in his hand. It should be noted I was unable to locate any sort of tile and his hands were in the area. This is like just business as usual, drinking and fighting. Well, this is right out on Main Street where people driving by see it and call the police. She was given a domestic abuse pamphlet. She seemed undecided as whether she wanted to contact domestic abuse. Back in 2012, the police report says I gave her a domestic abuse pamphlet. After you got a fight and you knocked her to the ground, then you ran over with your car and broke her ankle and ended up pleading on a reckless driving. I did send you to the anger management class with Matt Pellerito, which you successfully completed. It started out as a felony, assault with intent to do great bodily harm, assault with a dangerous weapon. It was bound over to circuit court, and then it got remanded the way cases used to in the old days when Mr. Dunham was the prosecutor at that time and reduced to a misdemeanor. And there were several gay times where she was charged with assaulting you. 25 years of that. The bond conditions are you're not to use any alcohol. You're not to have any contact whatsoever with Carla Barnick. Now, at least the conviction. So I get the impression you're actually staying there sometimes and at least talking to her. No weapons, no assaultive behavior. Pretrial supervision from community corrections. Do you have any other pretrial supervision? I don't know what happened there. So I think he's been living there. You're right. And this has always been the story. I think years ago she worked at Walmart, but she probably hasn't worked in a long time, 10 years.
Wow. Yeah.
And so you're her source of a house and source of income.
Yeah.
Are you embarrassed about all this?
Somewhat, yes.
I'm embarrassed just reading it. And I don't have any input from her. Let me make sure I didn't miss something. And I think she didn't even that, which is consistent with the way it was every time. She's like, well, who called the police? And he said, well, don't worry about that. Somebody did. I think actually more than one person called the police. Now, your kids are all grown. I remember when they were playing sports, they're all grown up and you got grandkids, and your grandkids are probably playing sports. They're probably grown up. Now, there's a condition of no alcohol. How have you been doing with that one?
Slowing right down. I took your advice the last time I was in here, the comment that you had made and so forth. And it's just, beer once in a while, that's it.
All right. I also have to be careful that what I do doesn't make her homeless. You took my bond conditions more as a suggestion than a court order. You've been having contact with her in violation of the bond. You've been drinking in violation of the bond. A beer now and then isn't a beer now and then. But you were supposed to have one beer. So one option would just give you about 93 days in jail. That might give you a real wake-up call. The neighbor says you're punching her in the face in the front yard on North Main Street. And she's not particularly cooperative. If I put you in jail for 93 days, she's going to be homeless. You're going to lose your residence. But you aren't taking this very seriously. And this is 25 years of this. Reading your old report, her old report. And I don't know that 93 days in jail would solve anything. But it might get your attention because I don't have it very well. You're not taking my bond conditions seriously. And somehow this is all not your fault. She threw some beers on you. You punched her and gave her a bloody nose. And according to the witness, kicked her and while she was on the ground. So that's we're gonna try not anger management. We're gonna try the domestic assault class. Alcohol testing and drug testing. You're not going to drink at all. You're not going to have a beer once in a while or slow down. You're going to have no alcohol. You got a long time of alcohol abuse, which results in mutual fighting. I don't have jurisdiction over her. I'd order a no alcohol condition for her as well. Put you on probation for 12 months. No assaultive or threatening behavior, no drugs, and no alcohol. I'm about to lift the no contact provision. My fear is if something did happen, she wouldn't report it because she's afraid she wouldn't have anywhere to go. I'm ordered 7 days jail, credit 1, leaving 6 days to serve. You can do that on weekends. This deserves some jail. 93 days not may be the answer, but you need to buy a clue on a clue bus and get on it. And I wish I had jurisdiction over her because, as you know, she's been struggling with alcohol during your whole relationship. The fine is $0. $75 crime victims' rights fee, $50 state minimum fee, $150 attorney fee, $480 probation oversight fee. You pay for the class. You don't need anger management again. We'll try the whole domestic violence treatment class. And you need no alcohol starting now. And if you test positive for alcohol, you're going to go to jail. And I want no further assaultive or threatening behavior. And, it's easy to say this. You can't live with her and you can't live without her. But you guys are caught in this toxic cycle of anger and assault. It's not healthy for either one of you. But right now, she don't have anybody other than you. Now, you can do this probation in 12 months. You can also do it in half of that time, 6 months, which would save you quite a bit of money, at least $240. The fine is $0 because there's this other stuff. $125, I have to order. $150 is the partial cost of your attorney fee. $480 is the probation oversight fee, and you're going to pay for the domestic violence class. Posted a $2,000 10% bond. Court keeps 10% of the 10% bond. So subtract 180, 575. And if you do it in 6 months, take 240 after that, you would owe 335 plus the cost of the class. I had hoped to hear from the prosecutor. I had really hoped to hear from Carla. And I don't know where she is. I think she's probably on your side. The no contact provision is lifted. You can go back to your house.
Would you like me to have her get a hold of you?
Well,
phone goes or not?
No,
Okay.
this was the time. Probation department at some point might be in contact with her. But as I said, I don't have jurisdiction over her, so I can't order her to do anything. It's going to be hard for you to be there and not use drugs or alcohol when she's still using.
I'll just have to deal with it.
You will, and you guys are,
I will.
you're connected to each other for better or worse. Maybe years ago things should have taken a different direction, but they didn't. And here we are. All right, I'm going to ask you to take this case downstairs to the probation department. And I think you're actually eligible for a deferral because the case I sent you for anger management was a reckless driving, not a domestic violence. I put will consider deferral at the end of probation. Mr. Pellerito, who did the anger management class that you took years ago, had good things to say about how you did. This is a bigger class, more intensive. All right. go down to probation, and they're done, and it's free to go.
This courtroom sentencing wasn't just about one bad night or one bad decision. What unfolded here was something far more disturbing. A 25-year pattern of alcohol, violence, and denial, finally catching up with reality. The judge makes it clear right away this isn't new. In fact, it feels like déjà vu. The same people, the same violence, the same excuses, over and over again for decades. And when a judge starts speaking like that, that's no longer frustration. That's exhaustion. But what truly cuts through everything is the independent witness. A random passerby with no reason to lie sees a man punching and kicking a woman in the front yard on Main Street. She's on the ground. She's bleeding. She's trying to get up. And he hits her again. That destroys any attempt to frame this as just an argument or mutual fighting. This is violence, period. Yet even standing in court, excuses continue. It was the lawn chair. She threw drinks. I only have a beer once in a while. But the judge isn't buying it. Why? Because this isn't about one incident anymore. It's about a long history of ignoring court orders, violating bond conditions, continuing to drink, and refusing to change. One of the most tragic parts of this case is the dependency. These two people have lived together for decades. He supports her. She has nowhere else to go. And that makes walking away incredibly hard. The judge even admits something heartbreaking. If he throws the defendant in jail for the full sentence, the woman likely becomes homeless. That shows the complicated reality behind domestic violence. It's rarely as simple as just leave. But the judge doesn't let sympathy erase accountability. Instead, he switches from anger management, which clearly didn't work years ago, to something stronger: domestic violence treatment. Strict probation, zero-tolerance alcohol rules, testing, and jail time. Not enough to ruin his life, but enough to finally get his attention. And the judge says it plainly. You treated the court's rules like suggestions, not orders. That has to stop now. So yes, there's compassion here. Yes, there's an understanding of how deeply entangled and toxic this relationship has become. But there's also a firm line drawn. This sentence isn't just about punishment. It's about breaking the cycle. For the judge, this is the last warning. The last attempt to stop decades of violence from simply repeating again. And whether this finally changes anything, that depends entirely on the defendant.